Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, take a deep breath because what's been going on with the Vikings lately is no small thing. There's an AFC team staring hard at a major piece of our offense. There's a real debate heating up about who's going to run the huddle. There's a prospect splitting opinions who could turn into a risky swing. There's a big name popping up for the run game. And to top it off, we've got an analysis of the 10 best free agents who could shake up everything we think we know in purple and gold. Let's get into it. Look, I saw this speculation and I honestly froze for a second, because it's not just internet noise. You've got serious voices saying a hungry team might come knocking on our door. The idea would be giving up a premium pick to add an explosive weapon to their offense. And then the name hits the table, Jordan Addison. The talk is the Buffalo Bills would be willing to send a second-round pick and a conditional fifth-rounder to pry him out of Minnesota. That's not nothing. And I can already picture the fan base in purple and gold splitting instantly. Some people are like, move him and keep it pushing. Others fire back. Are you out of your mind? That guy wins games. I'm stuck right in the middle, I'll admit it. It gives you that annoying cold feeling in your stomach. The argument from their side is simple. They don't want to put everything on Josh Allen's shoulders again. They see Addison as a guy who separates against man coverage, a target who's ready now. No waiting for a rookie to learn the hard way in the NFL. But on our side, the conversation gets heavier. Addison has had more than one off-field issue. There was a speeding citation in 2023. There was a DUI-related arrest in 2024 that ended up being reduced. There was a 2026 trespassing situation that got dismissed, and the league still handed down a 3-game suspension in 2025 because of that 2024 arrest. All of that matters when the team looks at the fifth-year option. If you're not comfortable extending him, the temptation to turn him into draft capital gets real, and that's why this topic is popping up right now. Now, let me be crystal clear. The talent is there. Over 3 seasons, he has 175 receptions for 2,396 yards and 22 touchdowns. That's not potential. That's production. He fits perfectly next to Jefferson. He stretches the field. He wins underneath. And he makes the kind of play that flips a stadium's mood in 2 seconds. If you trade him, what's left? You're praying a rookie becomes wide receiver too fast. You're asking more from the tight end. You're putting even more pressure on the quarterback, whoever that ends up being. And honestly, we're already talking about uncertainty at the top of the offense this offseason. So opening a hole in the receiver room can turn into a self-inflicted wound. On the other hand, a second-round pick is real ammo. You can attack the offensive line. You can bring in a corner. You can find a defensive playmaker. And that conditional fifth becomes a bonus if things line up. The front office also has to think about the locker room. Sometimes keeping a guy, even a good one, costs too much energy. And sometimes holding on to him is the confidence message the group needs. I want to hear from you. Would you make that trade today? Or are you slamming the door shut? Tell me in the comments, because this one is going to get loud. And look, you're not getting just a headline here. You're getting Vikings fan truth, the way we argue it with no filter. Stay with me, because the next one hits the command center of the team. And that's where this gets even more sensitive. You know what bugs me about this whole offseason conversation? People act like the most important position on the roster is going to solve itself. Then reality hits. The Vikings need a quarterback to challenge J.J. McCarthy. Real competition. No red carpet. And that brings in a name who's already been in our building and knows the system, Daniel Jones. But right now, he's tied to the Indianapolis Colts. And from what people are saying, the most likely outcome is he stays right there. The issue in Minnesota isn't just can he play or can't he? It's what that choice says about McCarthy himself. There were people on CBS saying it straight, like Ryan Wilson. He basically said Kevin O'Connell would love the chance to have someone like Jones around. The point is the message it sends. If in year 3 you still don't trust McCarthy to lead, what does that scream to the entire building? And I get that tension completely, because I don't want a repeat of 2025 either. That season was a punch to the gut. Missing the playoffs again is not an option, but you also can't pretend McCarthy is a finished product. He's dealt with injuries. He's lived through that I'm just watching phase. That can mess with any young player's head. So in my view, competition helps. It really does. But it has to be the kind of competition that pushes him upward, not the kind that creates panic. Let me be blunt right now. If the staff is thinking of Jones as plan A for a bunch of games, then I'm worried about what they know internally. And there's another piece nobody loves to say out loud. Jones is coming off an Achilles tear. That's not a little tweak. That's serious. Can he come back strong? Sure. But there are a lot of ifs. Emory Hunt said it too. He likes the fit because of familiarity. But he pointed out the obvious. We don't know how Jones comes back, and there's a real chance he isn't ready right away. So you sign him, and you still might not have an immediate answer. So why does this chatter still have legs? Because O'Connell is one of those guys who can get quarterbacks to play. The system is friendly, the locker room respects him, and the structure could be the best runway for Jones to prove it again. That attracts veterans. But then comes the second hammer, cap space. Minnesota isn't swimming in money, and when you pay a veteran, you're also choosing where you will not invest. Offensive line, defense, depth, all of it comes due. And the buzz doesn't stop at Jones. The name Kyler Murray is floating out there too if the Cardinals decide to cut ties and he hits the market. Alec Lewis said it turns into a game of choices. Kyler might want security and a long-term deal somewhere else, like a team with a lot of money sitting there. Or he could take a short prove-it deal in a great situation. But let's be real, that changes the entire planet of this offense. And it changes the team's ceiling too. So that's where we are. McCarthy needs an answer, O'Connell needs wins, and the fan base in purple and gold needs clarity, because staying on the fence at quarterback costs seasons, and it costs patience. And since we're talking quarterbacks, the next story brings a prospect scouts are getting excited about, but there's a big warning label attached. But before that, a quick ask from one fan to another. Subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it helps a ton to strengthen this community and make sure you get the next videos. Now let's keep rolling. See how this offseason turns into a carousel? You blink and a different quarterback is flying up mock drafts, and the fan base starts dreaming. But sometimes the dream becomes a trap. The name in this conversation is Cole Payton. And listen, I'm not talking about taking this guy high in the draft like he's the future. What came out is a loud warning. He impressed at the Senior Bowl. Scouts are intrigued. Some people are even putting him as high as the second round. And that's where my eyebrow shoots up. Really? His profile is exactly what the NFL keeps falling for. He's highly mobile, he escapes fast, and when he's right, he drops an accurate ball into the middle of the field. He's also built to take contact, which stands out. He's listed at 6 feet 2 inches and 221 pounds, and in college, he ran like a bulldozer. 1,919 rushing yards and 31 touchdowns. That's running back production, not quarterback production. But here's the part I think is the most honest for Purple Faithful. There's a difference between a package weapon and a real quarterback. What I read compared Payton to Taysom Hill, and stylistically that makes sense. Hill is the guy who comes in and blows up the script. He runs, he throws, he catches. But he never became the successor to Drew Brees. He became a piece, and a piece matters, but it's not the engine. And there's more. Payton has only one full season as the starter. One. In 2025, North Dakota State went 12-1 and he ran the show. Cool. But that's limited tape, and it's tape at a level where North Dakota State is usually stronger than almost everybody else. The question is simple. How does that translate against NFL defenses week after week? He's also being talked about as one of the first quarterbacks off the board. One mock even treated him as second best behind Fernando Mendoza, and I think that's people getting carried away. I'll say it straight. If he blows up the combine and climbs too high, I don't want the Vikings riding that wave, because his arm doesn't look elite. He carried the ball low on a lot of reps. In the NFL, that turns into strip sacks in a heartbeat. He also bails into runs early, and then the reads get shallow. He threw 16 passing touchdowns and 14 interceptions. That's not a detail. That's a signal. Now, I'm not saying he can't help. He can. Just in the right spot. Day 3, late rounds. As a project, as a package guy, as a spark plug, you can drop into O'Connell's offense at specific moments. I can already picture a weird red zone call, and I'm laughing just thinking about it. So that's it. If he's cheap, I'm in. If he gets expensive, I'm out. And you, where would you slot this guy on your board? Tell me in the comments, because I want to feel where the fan base is on this. And hold up, because the next story stays on offense too. But now we're talking about a name who could arrive as a true star, and that's a different kind of noise. Sometimes the draft feels predictable. Offensive line here, pass rusher there, done. Then out of nowhere, a projection hits that shakes the stands. And I'm talking about the run game, which in 2025 left us hanging way too often on Sundays. We couldn't control the clock. We couldn't punish light boxes. It kept turning into, let the quarterback save it. That gets old. And now there's a name gaining real momentum for Minnesota, Jeremiah Love. Yep, the Notre Dame running back a lot of people see as top-tier talent in this class. Charles Davis over at NFL Media dropped a mock with the Vikings taking him at pick number 18, and he even tossed out the question, are teams undervaluing running backs again? The logic is straightforward. If Love is truly a top 3 player in the class, you don't pass because of positional value. You take him and build the rest around it. And O'Connell, with the creativity he has, will find ways to feature him. I can see it. I really can. A player like that changes how defenses play you. It opens play action. It makes linebackers take 2 wrong steps, and 2 wrong steps turn into touchdowns. Love didn't shy away from it either. He said he'd be blessed to go to Minnesota. He said there are a lot of great guys there. Sure, prospects say the right things, but you can tell he wouldn't turn his nose up at wearing purple and gold. That heats the conversation up. Now here's the point that separates bar talk from real strategy. We've got Aaron Jones Sr. in the building, veteran, a ton of respect. But time comes for everybody, and bodies collect receipts, and the league doesn't wait. If you want to be a playoff team in 2026, you need to run the ball, and you need explosiveness, not just get 3 yards and fall forward. You need chunk plays at the second level. Let me be clear. Using pick number 18 on a running back only makes sense if the staff believes he's an immediate difference maker, real difference maker, not good player. It has to be, he changed our offense. And that's why I understand Alec Lewis talking about best player available. If you think he hits at a 70% rate, you do it, because 70% on a premium playmaker is high and rare. But there's another route too. Free agency. That's where you get Robert Turbin on CBS tossing out a name that makes eyes widen. Kenneth Walker III. He sees Walker as the perfect fit if McCarthy is the quarterback, because then you get balance, you get dominance, you get explosive juice on the ground. He also mentioned Jordan Mason as a more physical complement, a downhill contact guy who moves piles. But the lightning comes from Walker. And again, money comes into it. Walker won't be cheap. Free agency turns into an auction. And Minnesota has other wounds. Center, secondary, depth. So the question becomes strategy. Do you spend pick number 18 on Love and save money in the market? Or do you spend cash on Walker and use the draft to fix another pain point? As a fan, I want one thing. Stop watching the offense stall when defenses take away the pass. And that starts with a running back who scares people. Love scares people. Walker scares people. We just can't pretend the problem doesn't exist. And the next story ties it all together with a list of market targets. Center, safety, corner, receiver. This is the part that can change an entire roster overnight. Now hold on, because when free agency opens, the teams that move fast can change their future. And the Vikings have holes in more than one spot. Center, safety, corner, maybe even wide receiver. That's not exaggeration. That's the reality of a roster trying to get back to the playoffs in 2026. The list of potential targets is long, but there are names that make your head spin. On the interior offensive line, you've got Tyler Linderbaum, high-level center, young, strong in the run game, but the projected price is north of $70 million over 4 years. That's a major investment. And when you look at the fact he allowed 26 pressures last season, the conversation stops being easy. Is that check worth it? If the team wants something more balanced, there's Connor McGovern, more versatile, can slide to guard, costs less, solid grades in both pass and run. Not a star, but he fixes a problem without blowing up the budget. And then there's Cade Mays and Luke Fortner, more affordable options with size and experience. This becomes a philosophy question. Pay big for the top tier or build smart depth. At receiver, 2 names pop. Rashid Shaheed is the type who stretches the field and upgrades the return game. Reliable production, 0 drops last season, a projected deal around $39 million over 3 years. Then there's Marquise Brown, who could come on a short, cheaper deal. He put up close to 600 yards and 5 touchdowns last season. Not Jefferson, but as a third receiver, he brings speed. And here's the domino effect idea that came with this analysis. If you bring in Shaheed, you could even consider trading Jordan Addison for draft capital. See how everything connects? Nothing happens in a vacuum. One signing pulls another decision. On defense, the potential retirement of Harrison Smith leaves an emotional and technical void. That's where Kobe Bryant comes in. He moved from corner to safety and took off. 4 interceptions on a championship defense. Young, projected around $10 million per year. That's an investment that keeps the group youthful. There's also Asante Samuel Jr., who came back from a serious neck injury and showed he still has gas. On a short deal, he could be a smart bet for Brian Flores, and it doesn't stop there. Eric Stokes shows up as a corner option to bolster depth behind Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers. Not cheap, but not outrageous either. The secondary needs bodies and trust. There's also the tight end angle. If TJ Hawkinson's contract isn't restructured and the cap hit gets too heavy, the team might need an alternative. That's where Greg Dulcich comes up. Young, 6 feet 4 inches. Strong yards per route profile. Not a proven star, but there's room to grow. I'll put it plainly. Free agency isn't just sign a shiny name, it's building a puzzle. Every piece affects another. Spend too much at center, and you might not have enough for safety. Go big at receiver, and you may have to pinch pennies at corner. And the staff knows a mistake here can cost an entire season. So when the negotiation window hits, it won't be just rumors. It'll be a choice of identity, a team that runs, a team that protects the quarterback, a team that closes on the back end. All of it is on the line. And that's why what we covered today, from trade chatter to market targets, isn't gossip. It's franchise direction. Take a breath, because what all of this says about the Vikings goes beyond one contract. Let me tell you something, when you look at all of this together, it's not just about Jordan Addison. It's not just Daniel Jones or Cole Payton. It's not just Jeremiah Love or that massive list of free agents. It's about identity. It's about what kind of team the Vikings want to be when the ball goes up in 2026. Either we take calculated risks and speed this thing up, or we manage fear and live in almost. And this fan base in purple and gold has seen too many seasons slip away on tiny details. At some point, bold decisions stop being optional. I believe this roster still has a high ceiling, but it needs a firm direction. It needs to pick a lane and commit. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your take in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Are you going all in aggressive or building it step by step? Because the next chapter of this franchise starts right now. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.